What's up, crypto people? If you're new here, I'm Kevin Crates. We go over 5 charts every day. If you're not new here, welcome back. Today we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, DOT, and SXP. I am feeling bullish, guys. As far as the market goes, I am still feeling ridiculously bullish about how this market has been moving lately. When I saw earlier today, the market had dipped into the red. The entire market still looked very bullish. I mean, Cardano was still trading above $2. XRP was still trading above $1. Solana, we talked about Solana yesterday, and Solana just had an amazing day, running up close to around 25%. We're going to talk in much more detail about Solana in a few minutes, and I'm going to go off about why I am still so bullish on the long-term potential of Solana, but this market is undeniably bullish lately. So I attempted to mint some NFTs earlier today. Those of you who follow me on Twitter know this story already, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail here for you guys. So earlier today, right around the dip here, I ended up grabbing a bit more Ethereum for the purpose of going NFT shopping. And my plans were to mint Cyberkongs. Now, Cyberkongs are an NFT project, decent amount of hype around them, but I believe there was about 10,000 of them dropped today, and the minting price was around 0.07 ETH, I believe, plus gas. So I figured I'll grab a bit of Ethereum. I'll try minting some of these Cyberkongs out. They had connections to Sandbox. It's a decent project with all the NFT hype. I figured why not? So I showed up. I pressed the mint button. I feel like I was one of the first people to mint. And as you can see here, it is finished. 10,000 of them sold out within a matter of minutes, and I did not get one. Now, the reason I didn't get one was the psychotic gas fees, all right? When I pressed the button, I believe I was early, so the gas fee was still very low. It was just your typical Ethereum gas fee, but I noticed it stayed pending for a long time as more and more of these NFTs were being minted and sold. So I went to the button to speed up my Ethereum gas fee, raise it up to figure out what the gas fee had become, and the minimum gas fee was around $1,500 to $2,500. And keep in mind, that's not even the fast gas fee. That was the gas fee in order to get a decently slow transaction done. In order to go higher, it was much more expensive. But the thing that really stood out to me about the entire experience was the fact that 10,000 of them still minted and sold out within minutes. In other words, those gas fees didn't stop anybody from buying these NFTs. In my opinion, it seems like Ethereum is heading in the direction of becoming a financial highway for the mega wealthy, not the average person. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to every different blockchain, if you would like to speed up your transaction, you are always welcome to pay more. You can do it on the Binance Smart Chain. You could do it on Polygon. I mean, you can always raise your gas fee. But it seems to be that the base price for gas on Ethereum is still consistently higher than any other blockchain. But it also seems to be the pockets run a lot deeper on the Ethereum network. So I'm not saying this is a negative thing about Ethereum. I'm extremely bullish on Ethereum. I hold a lot of Ethereum, and I'm looking forward to the day that Ethereum costs much, much more than it does now. But the thing about Ethereum that you have to keep in mind that I've been thinking about lately is the fact that if Ethereum doesn't find a way to fix the gas fees, and I'm not sure how they plan to approach that in the long term, or if they even plan on approaching it, period, because at the end of the day, there are still people willing to pay these gas fees, and that is the thing that stuck out to me the most today. And I know we see this all the time when it comes to high gas fees. They're only caused because everybody else is bumping up their price to get their transaction quicker because they want their product quicker. So here's a tweet from Cyberkongs from earlier today where they're celebrating their big sellout. And again, this is no shade to Cyberkongs. They released a product, and those who could afford it got it. But I want you guys to read some of these tweets because I've been reading them all day to figure out what everybody else experienced. I mean, I know I saw stuff like this at one point where gas fees were up to around 58 ETH. And if we go a little bit lower, some other people talking about stories, ETH sucks. People got charged thousands of dollars in fees and got nothing. Another story I saw down here, if I can maybe find it, scrolling down somewhere. I think I just scrolled past it. Yeah, this one here. I started dead on 8 p.m. UK time. I paid $300 in gas and got no Kong. So disappointing when that happened. Fortunately, I canceled and didn't lose more. So the reason I want to draw everyone's attention to this is because this NFT hype is currently not going anywhere, and we see it come back in cycles every now and then. And NFTs are a great thing for the space. The more money that flows into them, the more hype that flows into them, the more money flows into the crypto space. But there is a bit of a disadvantage with Ethereum that the more hype and money flows into something, the higher gas prices go. We saw that with meme coins, and we see that with NFTs. So this is where Solana comes into the story, because again, I'm extremely bullish on Solana. We talked about that yesterday. I've been extremely bullish on Solana for a long time. You can see here, it's pretty much pushing towards all-time highs while I'm filming this. It probably might be by the time I'm done filming this. It might have a bit of a pullback, but either way, the reason that we are talking about Solana is because, in my opinion, I think Solana could be the next big NFT space. So behind me is a Solana-based NFT project called Degenerate Apes. It took them a couple days to get their initial drop right. They ended up selling out within 8 minutes. And some of these NFTs are being resold for over $50,000 now. And this is an extremely popular NFT project on Solana that's drawn a lot of attention and volume towards Solana. So to see Solana pumping today is really not a shock to me. I mean, Solana has massive investors behind it. Solana has so much going on. We're not even touching on Solana's DeFi at the moment. We're just talking about this NFT craze and the fact that Ethereum is going to become too expensive for the average person to take part in the NFT craze. And that is where Solana comes in. Solana is a fraction of the cost. Solana costs basically nothing in terms of minting, buying, and transactions, but that doesn't just matter for the consumer. That also matters for the producers. Because if you're following the NFT space, you know there's a new project coming out every few minutes practically at this point, and it's getting hard to keep track of them. But you have to think about the fact that if you're going to be releasing NFTs, if you're going to be making these NFT projects at the speed that they're being made at now, you're going to be looking for cost efficiency. And at the end of the day, Ethereum is not that cost efficient for small projects. I could see Ethereum NFTs and Ethereum projects being of a higher caliber than some of these other blockchains, at least for the time being. But at the exact same time, the fact that Degen Apes had so much success and that some of these Degen Apes are being resold for over $50,000, you have to think that some people are taking note of that. It is more likely than not that we're going to see a lot of small NFT projects start coming out in the masses on Solana, because if a Solana NFT can resell for $50,000, then a Solana NFT can resell for $50,000. And people are going to take note of that. And it costs a fraction of the cost to release NFTs on Solana, not just to buy them, but it makes it more accessible for the average person, which gives you a larger market. And for that very reason, not just that reason, but for that added reason, I am extremely bullish on Solana. But we'll do more of a deep dive as far as information goes on Solana in a future video, maybe just talking about some blockchains like Solana, Polkadot, some of the stuff I'm very bullish on. But as far as the market goes today, it's looking still extremely bullish in my opinion. The fact that today was a bit of a pullback day, Ethereum and Bitcoin having a bit of a dip, but the entire market still looking extremely bullish, that just makes me feel that much more bullish about what is going on in the market. So the market is looking decent today, and there is lots of opportunity out there. Looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, let's turn our notes on from last time. As far as price action goes, it is still hanging out in the exact same range. So our price targets are pretty much the same. But I did want to point something out. If we zoom in here, turn off the notes and take a look at this last candle that closed for Bitcoin, and then compare that to this last candle that closed for Ethereum. Like I've said many times, Ethereum with the EIP 1559, ever since then, Ethereum, it's not dipping. I mean, I've talked about this yesterday as far as price action goes. Ethereum is really, it's not pulling back. I mean, even these red candles, they are barely red candles. Even the days that are pullback days for Ethereum are barely pullback days. And if we jump to the 4-hour chart, we've talked about this many times with Ethereum, that as long as it stays outside this Kumo cloud and it keeps this uptrend, that Ethereum, in my opinion, is what is carrying this market. And again, we saw today Ethereum challenging that Kumo cloud, getting a bounce and continuing on its uptrend. And even if it does enter the Kumo cloud, again, let's compare that to Bitcoin's 4-hour chart. For those of you who are new here, you maybe haven't seen this before, but Bitcoin's 4-hour chart looking much more choppy than Ethereum's 4-hour chart ever since July 20th. As far as this goes, entering the Kumo cloud, it's not ideal, but even if Ethereum did enter the Kumo cloud today, I was kind of keeping my eye on that range for a potential bounce. But again, Ethereum still extremely bullish on that 4-hour chart, continuing that uptrend, challenging the Kumo cloud for a moment, but getting a very strong bounce on that 4-hour candle right there, and then just taking off ever since. And again, it might dip down here, but as long as Ethereum keeps this uptrend going, in my opinion, it is what is giving this market the opportunity to pump in the way that it's pumping. Bitcoin looks great lately as well, don't get me wrong. But when you compare this one-day chart with all these notes off and you take a look at the way that Bitcoin has been pumping, a few pullbacks here or there in comparison to the way that Ethereum has been pumping, which is pretty much just a straight line. it's hard to not think that Ethereum is what is carrying this market for the time being. But let's just jump back over to Bitcoin, turn on our price notes, and talk about price targets. Price targets for Bitcoin are pretty simple. 48.7 is still looking like resistance. I wouldn't even really call that the breakout target at this point. The fact that Bitcoin has been hanging out in this range, kind of flirting with that 48,000 mark and then dipping back down. As far as it goes, I wouldn't really even call 48.7 the breakout target. For the time being, 53,000 is the breakout target. And on this daily chart, you can take a look. This is still conversion line, baseline, lagging span. Same with Ethereum. They are just setting up for breakouts. Conversion line, baseline, lagging span. As long as price action just keeps trending up slowly, they are both primed and ready to go for a breakout. But again, keep in mind, I mean, this is crypto and pullbacks can always happen, and the market in a flash can really turn into something else. So it isn't always important to keep an eye on these pullback targets. But price targets for the time being for Bitcoin, breakout target 53,000. Resistance is going to be around 48.7. But if it manages to push to that range, I would not be surprised to see the breakout targets get hit. As far as pullback targets, support around 46.7. Below that, keep my eye on 45.9, and below that 44.3. On the lower end, keep my eye on around 43,000. We'll leave this one out for now. If Bitcoin does dip down to these ranges, I'd be keeping my eye on this target right here, right on these moving averages around 40,000 for Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum's daily charts and our notes on from last time we talked about Ethereum just looking psychotically bullish. I mean, look at this. What is this? This absolute straight line. I mean, this isn't even wild swings. If it was looking more like this, we talked about this yesterday, that's one thing. But Ethereum's pump ever since July 20th, which is basically a month ago at this point, has just been this steady climb that really doesn't need any heavy correction because of how much of a steady climb it's been. The only reason it needs a correction is because of how long this has been going on, but that's not necessarily a reason that it has to correct. And the way that it's been moving, I just would not be surprised to see Ethereum break out. And we talked about this yesterday, that Ethereum is pretty much very close to its all-time high. Ethereum is trading in a way that is very different than Bitcoin. Ethereum is pretty much, in my opinion, carrying this market, and the 4-hour chart is my main indication for that. This 4-hour chart is so different from Bitcoin's 4-hour chart, and it just continues to maintain this perfect uptrend with a steady pump. We're not going to spend too much time talking about Ethereum today because we've been over this so many times, but for those of you who are new here, my indication that this uptrend for the entire market might be losing a bit of steam is when Ethereum possibly trends down to the other side of this Kumo cloud, which we have not even seen any of. I mean, today it did challenge the Kumo cloud, the most aggressive it has ever since this pump started, but getting that strong bounce. I mean, look at those wicks on each one of those candles. Anytime it approaches that Kumo cloud, very bullish. Ethereum continues to look very bullish, but if I see it around these price targets around the low 3,000s, low 2,900s, that would be some indication to me that Ethereum possibly could be losing some steam. And if Ethereum ends up in this area, let's move this price target over a little bit now, since prices have moved around the low 2,700s pretty much. If I just move it up a little bit, yeah, around 2,700, that would be some indication that this pump might be coming to a bit of a pause. But as long as this 4-hour chart remains intact like this, Ethereum still looks great to continue to pump. So let's jump back to the daily chart, turn on our price targets, and talk about possible price targets for Ethereum. So price targets for Ethereum, pretty straightforward. 35.64 is the breakout target, but if Ethereum does trend up in that direction, 4,000 would also not surprise me. Pullback targets, 3,200, it has a decent amount of support there, and then pullback targets below that, 3,000 to around 2,900, but anything below 2,900, Ethereum not looking so bullish anymore, and in that scenario, my price target is around 2,700. Looking at Solana's daily charts, there are notes on from last time we talked about Solana. Solana is trading so close to its all-time highs, and if this NFT craze and some of the stuff we talked about at the start of the video continues, I would not be surprised to see Solana trade around $57 and then set new all-time highs, because it's pretty much just simple supply and demand. Solana is needed for transactions on the Solana network, and if the NFT craze continues on Solana, not to mention their DeFi space, there's just so much going on with Solana that soul pumping in price does not shock me at all. But again, this is a very aggressive move, so we do have to keep our eye out for pullbacks. As far as price targets go for Solana, if it continues to trend up above $57, that is Solana headed towards new all-time highs. As far as pullbacks go, keep my eye on around $53 for now. Below that, I keep my eye on $50. And on the lower end for Solana, I'll probably be keeping my eye on around $44. And on the lowest end for the time being, I'll be keeping my eye on $40 for Solana. Looking at DOT, Polkadot's daily chart, let's turn our notes on from last time we talked about Polkadot. Our price targets haven't changed. I just want to revisit DOT because it is looking extremely bullish. I mean, if I zoom in here, take a look at these daily green candles, that consistent push up in price on the daily. As long as Bitcoin and Ethereum continue to range at the higher levels they are, not to mention if they get that breakout, I would not be surprised to see DOT trading above $30. And don't forget that DOT was trading pretty close to $50, headed for a breakout. Where DOT is for the time being is so undervalued in my opinion. DOT is another project I'm extremely bullish on in the long term, but where DOT is in the time being, if the market heads back to a bullish state, is so undervalued. So price targets for the time being for DOT, breakout targets of around $24, $28, and $31. Pullback targets, I'll be keeping my eye on $22, $21, and $19 for Polkadot. Looking at SXP's daily chart, we talked about SXP a few days ago. Let's turn the notes back on for SXP. SXP, another project that if the market continues to pump, looking very bullish. I mean, look at these daily candles. SXP had a couple days to cool off here. It had this insane run up. You see here 2 red candles back to back. In my opinion, the fact that that was SXP's pullback just to around 3.5 and it held that support nice, not 3.5, sorry, around 3.38, and it held that support nice and strong. SXP is looking very bullish, and if the market does break out, SXP is primed to potentially not just hit $4, but work its way back to $5 and above. So SXP is definitely one to keep an eye on, but as far as price targets go, breakout targets $4 to $5 I think is very possible for SXP because of the way that it's held most of this move, and this was its cool off as far as pullbacks go. But as far as pullback targets for the time being, it does have a bit of resistance around 3.5, and it does have a very decent support around 3.38. But if there is a bit of a market pullback, I'll be keeping my eye on around $3 for SXP, and as well as this target right around here as well, around 2.9. And on the lowest end for SXP, I'll keep my eye on 2.6. All right, crypto people, that's all for today. If you enjoy this content, if you find it brings you value, if you could just scroll down for a moment, drop a like, leave a comment, helps this channel out a ton. I appreciate you guys. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'm out.